Alright, so today we're going to be looking at Home Assistant and how to control like a dumb heater. Okay, like one of those space heaters that you have, it's kind of like a floor heater. And we want to control it because we want to be able to like control, say, hey, if there's somebody in the room, use it. Alright, today we're going to be looking at Home Assistant to control a heater in a room. Okay, this is an awesome ability because one, you can save on a lot of energy. For instance, my son goes in his room. Alright, today we're going to be looking at Home Assistant to control a heater. And this is an amazing feature that allows you to control a heater that has no brains. You can use any heater for this as long as it's under 15 amps. Okay, so it's got to be under 15 amps in order for this to work, because we're going to be using the sawn-off plugs that I showed you how to install in one of the other videos. So that's the only drawback. Most these little floor heaters run pretty low, 10 to 12 amps, so you're pretty good. Now, the advantage of this is, let's say there's a person in the room, the heater's going to turn on. How about the person leaves the room? The heater's going to turn off. Okay? Just that little bit right there saves on so much energy. You don't know, especially with kids. So your kid goes in your room, his heater will work when he's in the room. But if he's not in the room, the heater will not work. And sure, that takes a little bit of time to heat back up the room, but it does save on a lot of energy costs. There's no doubt about it. Luckily, the room is very small too, and it's upstairs, so it mainly gets some heat already just by being upstairs. This is just an add-on feature just to get rid of the chill in the room. So that's another thing about this room that you should know about. Alright, so what we're going to be doing is looking at the automation for this, what sensors you'll need for it, and then how to write the automation for it. Alright, so right now this is my son's card. It's got the temperature in the room, the humidity level. It has the ability to see if he's in the room. This is all based upon the multi-sensor that's in his room. Okay, you can pick up multi-sensors, or you can pick up just regular sensors, and then again later on I'm going to show you how to make a multi-sensor for areas in your house. So this has temperature and humidity, and this is the Aqara sensor in his room, which is a pretty stable sensor, to be honest with you. It's even more stable than some of the kind that you can make with a higher cost. So it's a pretty good for your kids type of sensor. Okay. So I showed you that in one of the other videos, how to install the Aqara hub and those FP1s. You have to order them from Alibaba though, because they're in China, unfortunately. And let's see what else. Oh, and there's also a PIR sensor, but I guess we won't be using that. So these are all the things that are in this room that we can use to write an automation. There's also the sawn-off plug hooked up to a space heater. Okay, so let's look at the automation for this. So there's going to be 3 automations. Okay? Automation 1 is to turn on the heat at a certain temperature. So first off, we have to identify the temperature. So in this case, I have a multi-sensor, and it has pressure, humidity, resistance, light levels, motion, everything else. So temperature being one of them. So now we're going to state it like below 65 degrees just for right now, until we figure out what is warm and what is, because different areas of your house, even though you set them to a specific temperature, I don't know if you ever noticed, but 70 degrees in one room and 70 degrees in another room is totally different. So you got to kind of like gauge that just by going up into that area and seeing, is that too hot? Now, the thing with Home Assistant that sets it apart from everything else is its conditions. So if you add in a condition, you notice you have an and, a device, knots, ors, states, sun levels, like over the horizon, under the horizon, what zone. So my favorite is and, to be honest with you. So and. So now it's going to say, well, it's going to be below 65 degrees, and I'm going to check if there's a body in the room. So if his presence sensor shows it to be occupied, then it's going to switch on the device, switch to. This is a sawn off. Now I've known with the sawn off, you mount it as a device and the entity. So you have to like choose the device that is somewhere in here. Oh, maybe I can't see it because it's already mounted. Yeah. Alright. Yeah, so in this case it's mounted as switch 2 and the ND is switch 2. And again, don't forget that the sawn off is located under oh, this is the old one. Well, I'll just copy this over. So when you're doing these things, always have another window open with the same instance in it, because it's just easier to kind of browse entities and set up. So there we go. There's my two devices, and there's my sawn off. But you can see these in here, and now that they're hooked to automations, you can also see inside the card what that looks like. Okay, so that's the animation for the heater on, and I didn't make any changes, so there we go. So now what turns it off? Well, that's easy. I'm going to have the temperature sensor as the trigger. So when you add a trigger, you just add a device. Okay, and if you see these icons right here, that's a good way, if you're lost, to add. See, that one is device. Cool. So now when it hits 68 degrees, it will do something. Does it have a condition? No, there's no condition for this. And then it will just turn those switches off. And that's, again, this one, that icon is called call to service. So what is the third? Well, it's a room check. Okay, it happens all the time. So here's how the room check goes. Let's say it was heating up. Okay, then he decided to dip out just to go get a sandwich or something like that. Right? But he forgot to go back. Well, that whole time that it's heating up, that's a waste of energy. In my humble opinion anyway. So the room check is just, hey, the presence sensor is going to look to see if there's anybody in there, and then immediately shut the switch off if there's nobody in there. Now, you'll have to know that this presence sensor has like a 10-minute delay anyway, so it doesn't save a whole lot of energy because of that delay. And most presence sensors do have that delay, to be honest with you. Even the best ones have a delay in them. So that's how I control my kid's room, because it's upstairs. It has no ductwork or anything like that. It just has a really, really good space heater, and turns it on and off. So I do that with my son and daughter, and it works out really well. It's been going for years too. I mean, like this little thing's been staying tried and true. The only thing that new I've changed in here is the presence sensor, and I think that was a great addition. Before then, I had to use it, nefarious ways to try to figure out if they were in there or not, and it was not a really pleasant situation, to be honest with you. So it was very costly on heat, and basically it was heating a room with nobody in it. So this saves you hundreds of dollars on your electric bill when it comes down to it. Home automation is so good. You'll save so much money on your electric bill just by just hooking these things up. It costs a little bit at the beginning just to make these things work, but the next year you have no idea how much you save because of that. It's crazy. Alright, so that's the whole automation. I hope you enjoyed how to control a space heater with somebody in the room. I'll work on the title. It's kind of long. Have a good one.